ideals of freedom and democracy. It was also the 72nd anniversary of the D-Day. On that day, thousands from this great country fought to protect the torch of liberty. They sacrificed their lives so that the world lives in freedom. I applaud, India applauds the great sacrifices of the men and women from the land of the free and the home of the brave in service of mankind. India knows what this means because our soldiers have fallen in distant battlefields for the same ideals. That is why the threads of freedom and liberty from a strong bond between our two democracies. Mr. Speaker, our nations may have been shaped by diverse histories, cultures, and faiths. Yet, our belief in democracy for our nations and liberty for our countrymen is common. The idea that all citizens are created equal is a central pillar of the American Constitution. Our founding fathers too shared the same belief and sought individual liberty for every citizen of India. There were many who doubted India when, as a newly independent nation, we repose our faith in democracy. Indeed, wagers were made on our future, but the people of India did not waver. Our founders created a modern nation with freedom, democracy, and equality at the essence of its soul. And in doing so, they assured that we continue to celebrate our age-old diversity. Today, across its individuals and institutions, in its villages and cities, in its streets and states, are anchored in equal respect for all faiths and in the melody of hundreds of its languages and dialects. India lives as one. India grows as one. India celebrates as one. Mr. Speaker, modern India is in its 70th year. For my government, The Constitution, real holy book, holy book. And in that holy book, freedom of faith, speech and franchise, and equality of all citizens, regardless of background, are enshrined as fundamental rights. $800 million of my countrymen may exercise the freedom of franchise once every 5 years. But all the 1.25 billion of our citizens have freedom from fear, a freedom they exercise every moment of their lives. Distinguished members, engagement between our two democracies has been visible in the manner in which our thinkers impacted one another and shaped the course of our societies. Thoreau's idea of civil disobedience influenced our political thoughts. And similarly, the call by the great sage of India, Swami Vivekananda, to embrace humanity was most famously delivered in Chicago. Gandhi's non-violence inspired the heroism of Martin Luther King. Today, a mere distance of 3 miles separates the Martin Luther King Memorial at Tidal Basin from the statue of Gandhi at Massachusetts Avenue. This proximity of their memorials in Washington mirrors the closeness of ideals and value they believe in. The genius of Dr. Bhimrao Babasaheb Ambedkar was nurtured in the years he spent at the Columbia University a century ago. The impact of U.S. Constitution on him was reflected in his drafting of the Indian Constitution some 3 decades later. Our independence was ignited by the same idealism that fueled your struggle for freedom. No wonder then that former Prime Minister of India, Sri Atal Bihari Vajpayee, called India and the US natural allies. No wonder that the shared ideals and common philosophy of freedom shape the bedrock of our ties. No wonder then that President Obama has called our ties the defining partnership of the 21st century. Mr. Speaker, more than 15 years ago, Prime Minister Vajpayee stood here and gave a call to step out of the shadow of hesitation of the past. The pages of our friendship since then tell a remarkable story. Today, our relationship has overcome the hesitations of history. Comfort, candor, and convergence define our conversations. Through the cycle of elections and transitions of administration, the intensity of our engagements has only grown. And in this exciting journey, the U.S. Congress has acted as its compass. You have helped us turn barriers into bridges of partnership. In the fall of 2008, when the Congress passed the India-US Civil Nuclear Cooperation Agreement, it changed the very colors of leaves of our relationship. We thank you for being there when the partnership needed you the most. Stood by us in times of sorrow. India will never forget the solidarity shown by the U.S. when terrorists from across our border attacked Mumbai in November of 2008. And for this, we are grateful. Mr. Speaker, I'm informed that the working of the U.S. Congress is harmonious. I'm also told that you are well known for your bipartisanship. Well, you are not alone. Time and again, I have also witnessed a similar spirit in the Indian Parliament. Especially in upper house. So, as you can see, we have many shared practices. Mr. Speaker, as this country knows well, every journey has its pioneers. Very early on, they shaped our development partnership, even when our meeting ground was more limited. The genius of Norman Borlaug brought the green revolution and food security to my country. The excellence of American universities nurtured institutions of technology and management in India. And I could go on, but fast forward to the present. The embrace of our partnership extends to the totality of human endeavor. From the depths of the oceans to the vastness of the space. Our science and technology collaboration continues to help us in cracking the age-old problems in the fields of public health, education, food, and agriculture. Ties of commerce and investment are flourishing. We trade more with the US than with any other nation. And the flow of goods, services, and capital between us generates jobs for societies. As in trade, so in defense. India exercises with the United States more than we do with any other partner. Defense purchases have moved from almost zero to $10 billion in less than a decade. Our cooperation also secures our cities and citizens from terrorists and protects our critical infrastructure from cyber threats. Civil nuclear cooperation, as I told President Obama yesterday, is a reality. Mr. Speaker, our people-to-people links are strong. And there is a close cultural connect between our societies. CD, you are familiar with the CD. CD tells us that India's ancient heritage of yoga has over 30 million practitioners in the US. It is estimated that more Americans bend for yoga than to throw a curveball. And no, Mr. Speaker, we have not yet claimed intellectual property right on yoga. Connecting our two nations is also a unique and dynamic bridge of 3 million Indian Americans.